Right, what about quadratic equations where the coefficient of x squared is more than 1? We're looking at advanced quadratic equations now. Yeah, only really need to be able to do these if you're some kind of ninja. Well, you are some kind of ninja, aren't you? So let's have a go at this. Let's see how similar it is to the last lot and let's see where it's different. So here's an example. Solve 2x squared, add 7x, add 3 equals 0 by factorising. Again, the question is telling us what we need to do. This is the same as the last lot, no negatives though, so that's easier. Only difference is that there's a 2 here. The coefficient of x squared isn't 1, it's 2. So, how am I going to go about that? Well, as before, I'm going to pull from the question the thing I'm going to use, the equation. Then what am I going to do with it? Well, I am going to remember that because I'm factorising, I'm going to use a multiplication grid to find out what multiplication has gone on. There it is. My x squared term goes straight into that box, just as before. My number term goes straight into that box, just as before. Okay, no problem. But it gets a little bit more complicated now, all right, because this times this has to be 2x squared. So it's not x times x. We haven't got a 1 here and here, which means I'm going to have a number here that times by this number to make this number. Similarly here, these are then going to add up to make the middle number. It's a little bit more complicated. Let's see if we can make it as straightforward as possible. So, my 2x squared, this 2 is made by doing 1 times 2. All right, might be 1 times 2, might be 2 times 1, I don't know. I'm not too worried about that. What I'm doing is I'm finding the factor pairs to make 2. And I've chosen this question to be as easy as it can be at this point. There's only one way of making 2 through multiplication. This number, again, is made by this times this. So I look for the factor pairs of 3. And again, I've made it as easy as I can at this point. The only way of making 3 is 1 times 3. Now, this number here, whatever it is, multiplies by this number here to get this number. This number here multiplies by this number here to get this number here. And then we add these two numbers together to get this number. So what I'm looking for is combinations of these numbers to make 7. Now, that comes down to trial and error. All right. You might spot it straight away, but it might take a few goes of trying things out. All right, so you might think, okay, well, let's go 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 1 is 5, add those together, 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 1 is 2, add those together gets 5, it doesn't make 7. So it's not that. But if I went 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 3 is 6, those do add together to make 7. So it's a bit of trial and error, trying things out. Now, if I times that by that to get 6, and I times that by that to get 1, these two numbers will add up to make this 7. So, I need one number from here to go with one number from here, and one number from here to go with the matching number from here. Okay? And I try those out. Now I've done that, I can start to fill in what goes around my grid. So, this 2 is multiplied by this 3. So I'm going to put 2x here. I could have put it there. I've chosen to put it there, and that's a choice. and it needs to be multiplied by 3. So I've got to put the 3 there, so that 2 times 3 makes 6. Right? And this is 1x. I'm going to write 1x. You can just write x. I'm going to write 1x just to make the point. It needs to be multiplied by 1. So I'm going to put 1 here and get 1 times 1x is 1x. And then you can see that these two squares, the 1x and the 6x, add together to make the 7 there. All right. It's a bit of trial and error. Try things out, see if they work. So, what have I got? Well, copying here, I've got 2x add 1. And copying here, I've got 1x add 3. I've dropped the 1 now. This is replacing our original 2x squared add 7x add 3. So the rest of the equation is the same. 2x add 1 times by x add 3 is still equal to 0. Right? I've still got two numbers that multiply together to make 0. So one of them must be 0. The magic still happens. And I can say either the first number is 0 or the second number is 0. If it's the first number that's 0, then 2x add 1 is 0. I don't want 2x add 1 equals 0. I want x on its own. A number times by 2 and add 1 is 0. The last thing that happened was the add 1. Get rid of it. How do you get rid of an add 1? You take 1 away from both sides. So 2x is minus 1. Okay, what does that mean? A number times by 2 is negative 1. I don't want the number times by 2. I want it on its own. So I get rid of the times by 2. How? By dividing by 2 on both sides. So x negative 1 divided by 2. It's negative a half. And I'm going to have to tell you, in most cases, when we've got a coefficient of x squared bigger than 1, we're going to end up with less nice answers. Okay, the other one, something add 3 is 0. Well, that something must be negative 3. So either x is negative a half or x is negative 3. Okay, and that's done. Not as nice as the last one, but it's very doable. Try this one. Have a go at it. Pause the video. I'll see you in a few minutes. Right, so switch to the purple pen. So what have I got here then? I have got 3x squared, add 16x, add 5 equals 0. I want to find the multiplication that makes 3x squared, add 16, add 5. So a multiplication grid, x squared term goes in straight away. The number term goes in straight away, and then I find out how do I make 3, how do I make 5, and then I'm looking for combinations of these numbers with these numbers that make 16. So I try 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 1 is 3, 5 add 3 is 8, and that doesn't work. Try 1 times 1 is 1, 3 times 5 is 15, 1 add 15 is 16. That's the one to go for. So I'm putting the 3 with the 5 to make 15. And I'm putting the 1 with the 1 to make 1. So I fill in the grid carefully. So 3 times x needs to go with the 5. So the 5's got to be here, okay? Not on the same side, on the alternative side. 3 times 5 gives me 15x. And here, 1x times by 1 gives me 1x. These two terms here then add together to make the 16 or 16x. Alright, so still some work to do. Copy this, 3x add 1, times by copy this, x add 5, equals 0. Either the first term equals 0, it's just copying, isn't it? Or the second term equals 0. If it's the first term that equals 0, then 3x add 1 equals 0. I don't want the add 1. Get rid of it. How do I get rid of add 1? Take away 1 from both sides. Now I've got 3 times by my number is negative 1. I don't want the times by 3. Get rid of it. How to get rid of times by 3? You do the inverse of times by 3. You divide by 3 on both sides. So negative 1 divided by 3. Okay. Or, well, if x add 5 is 0, then x must be negative 5. And there are my two solutions. All right. Quite a big summary. So we can still put the x squared term straight into the box, and the number term, constant is its proper name, straight into the box. All right. Then I find the factors of each of those two numbers. Then bit of trial and error, matching numbers from here with numbers from here to see what happens to make the middle number. Okay, you just see here, PTO, there's more to this. I haven't dealt with negative numbers, but I think I'm going to shoot another video for that. So I'll see you in a little while. Okay, bye for now.